So let me ask you, Kari, we're talking about values. If you were to come up with a definition, how do you explain what personal values are?
So my definition of values is from a researcher and a storyteller named Brene Brown. And I took a very in-depth course last year all about personal values. And the definition is as follows. A value is a way of being or believing that we hold most important. It ensures that we walk our talk, that we are clear about what we believe and hold most important. And we take care that our intentions, our words, thoughts, and our behaviors align with those beliefs.
Okay, that's really good. I like that.
I think most of us don't have our values written down. I didn't until I went through this exercise. And so what our goal, I think, will be by the time we conclude both of these episodes is that everybody who's participating will know exactly what they need to do to use their values. And I can promise you, especially after going through the exercise that Steve's going to lead us through today, that it will make an immediate change in how you're living your life.
They're part of our moral code, right? They guide us. They're almost like a compass to steer us, hopefully, towards the right decisions and or avoid situations that we don't necessarily enjoy or don't particularly fulfill us. Values almost are our code, our inner code, almost like our programming of what's inside us. Now, Kari and I have both been through this exercise a number of times, so we didn't think there would be a lot of value in us going through it because we kind of know the outcomes and know the answers. So we decided to invite a guest who hasn't been through it. And who's that, Kari?
So we have on my good friend, Leslie Boone-Tang. She lives here in LA. She is an actress and a mother. Our kids are in school together. And I picked Leslie to participate in this exercise because she is an accessible person who lives, her life on her sleeve. So we thought that you getting a chance to watch someone else go through the exercise right along with you would really give it some solid practical application. So without further ado, here is the exercise with Steve, myself, and Leslie.
Thanks so much, Leslie, for agreeing to be our guinea pig today. To do this, what I want you to do is to have a real deep think about someone that you admire. This could be somebody in your life, someone you look up to, someone who you find as an inspiration. It could be a religious figure. It could be a family member. It could be a friend, a fictional character, a politician, a sports person, an activist, somebody in your life that you kind of admire and go, do you know what? They're a pretty good person. I'd like to be a bit like that. Can you think of anyone? You don't have to say their name, but can you think of someone?
Yeah, I can think of a couple people.
Okay, great. So if you can identify one specific person whose qualities you find you might be able to easily identify. And I'm going to bring up on screen now a list of words. What I'd like you to do is have a look at the list that we sent you and just allow your eye to sort of scan. And there's a number of different words. There's over 400 different words on that page. And I'd like your eye just to scan over any that stand out. I'd like you to make some note of, either do a circle around or underline them. And then try and choose 10. Try and choose 10 specific things that sum that person up, that really represents what the essence of that person and their qualities might be. Okay, so you have 10. What I'd like you to do is take that 10 and really refine it. Really boil that list of 10 things down into a list of 5. What is the very essence of that person and what they represent in terms of their values? So get that list of 10 down to 5. Now, with those 5, I'd like you to write down a definition of those words. And the reason being, words are very emotive. So the word ambition to me may mean something different to you. So I'd like you to go through that list. I'd like you to identify from the 10 down to the 5, and then write your Leslie dictionary definition of what those words mean. You've got a list of how many, Leslie?
I've got 6 here.
All right. So do me a favor.
I can narrow down to 5 if you want.
That's all right. You can do 6. Seeing as it's you and you're our subject for this exercise. I'd like to read out the 6 and what your definitions of those words are.
Okay. So my 6 are love,
Mm-hmm.
empathy, dynamism, meticulousness, intuition, and perseverance.
Okay. And what are the definitions of those words for you?
It's so funny because you're sitting here. I'm like sitting here going, are you guys judging me? No, it's okay.
So that's stage 1. Hopefully you've been able to follow along. If you haven't, you can do that right now. We've got a list of values from Leslie. She's got it from 10 down to 5, and she's written definitions for each of those words, what they mean to her. So hopefully you've got the chance to do that. If not, please do that now. And let's kick in with part 2 of our values exercise.
Right.
So look, here's the reveal, right? And you've kind of guessed it almost. But just describe to me who that person is to you. Is it just without necessarily their name, but what's the relationship between you and that person that you described?
Well, I actually just picked someone. It's funny because it's a few people. It's people that are close to me, but I actually was sort of also looking at someone whose career path I have been so enamored of, and somebody that I would aspire to be.
Okay. Well, let's think of that
The irony
person.
is that I don't know this person as a human.
Yeah.
She could be a piece of shit, but
Yeah.
in my eyes, I've seen what she's accomplished in her life and how she's affected people, and I'm like, I want to do that.
So that's somebody that you admire and respect and look up to, who represents some really good qualities. Right. So quite revealing, I think you'll agree. During the conversation we had with Leslie, Kari, you replayed back what your impression was and the synergies between how you view Leslie and the values that she identified. Could you just expand on a couple of those for us?
Yes. Well, I had done a list of values that I see in Leslie, which were incredibly similar to the list that she came up with herself. One of the ones that she didn't identify that I see in her is leadership. She is an acting Parents Association president at our school. And in addition to all of the values that she set forth during the exercise, she is also an incredible leader, which also fits in with some of the values that she outlined as being sort of a hub, the person that has, everybody kind of comes to her, and she creates that sort of environment where people can integrate, and she's a caretaker.
What does that feel like? Or do you agree? Do you disagree?
I agree wholeheartedly. Part of it is, listen, it's so complimentary. It almost makes me want to shrink a little, because it's hard to take that in, that I am that person, that it makes me want to cry. Mm-hmm. I'm a very emotional person. I keep I literally I can cry on a dime. So it makes me want to cry because it's so lovely to hear those things about yourself. Mm-hmm. I continuously need to sometimes remind myself that I am that person, because my inner voice likes to tell me otherwise. Mm-hmm. So it is nice to hear from the outside that is who I am. I know in my core that those are my values, that is who I am. But it's not always easy to tell oneself.
So if you're a lunch or dinner member, you'll get a lot more of Leslie's thoughts and a lot more of the conversation. It lasts about 30 minutes or so, and you'll be able to receive that as a bonus piece of content over the next week. So it's a really lovely conversation, quite moving at times as well. So Kari, it's been about a week or so since we did, maybe a little longer, 10 days or so since we did that interview with Leslie in the exercise. Have you had any thoughts or reflections about that process, going through that, seeing your friend go through that exercise?
Right. Well, she texted me after we were done and said, thank you so much. She thought it was so amazing. And I wasn't surprised by that, Steve, because I've seen you do this so many times and it works so well.
Yeah.
Leslie and I are in, I think, similar spaces. We're both in our 50s and we are both looking at evolving our careers. I obviously do the podcasting and I have a leadership consultancy business. She is an actress, but she's also looking to expand what she does. And I think that what came out of this exercise for her was the confidence that she needs to move on to those next steps. She really saw in herself and was able to accept by going through the values exercise that she doesn't give herself enough credit in certain areas of being a leader and some of the other things. So I'm already seeing her use that, and the productivity. She's kept in touch with me. What she's accomplished over these 10 days has been tangible. And so
Brilliant.
that is extremely exciting. And I'm really, really happy for her. And next time, here's what we will be doing. We will be taking your defined values list and we will be making it come alive. We are going to look at 2 guiding values that you will always have that will light your way. We are then going to go through behaviors that support your values, that enforce your values. And then the most important part is for us to be able to look at and identify behaviors that don't support your values. Because when we migrate away from our values list and we don't keep it at heart and hand, we can see that there are behaviors that actually fly in the face of what those values are. So we're going to be looking at supportive behaviors and also behaviors that might not support our values, and talking a little bit about what we do when we see that arising in our lives.
Perfect. All right. I think that's about it, Kari, isn't it? So if you've enjoyed this episode, then please share it with a friend.
Yes. Tell your friends about Holistic Buffet. You can find us on social media as well for updates and for discussion. That is for Twitter and Instagram. We are at Holistic Buffet.
Yep, that's right. And once you join, you can post on our community board, of course, on patreon.com. And we look forward to providing you with
a meze for the mind,
a banquet for the body,
and soup for the soul.
Here, Steve and Kari's Holistic Buffet.
That was horrible.